there was this mantra in that first year that there are no libertarians during a pandemic.
Yeah.
And my reaction, not knowing anything, is no, this is precisely when we need libertarians.
100%.
When you don't know anything, except that the government fails precisely when it's supposed to do things that are within its legitimate functions. Government always fails.
Yeah, well, that, and also I don't think the state is ever more dangerous than when people are afraid and they don't know what's happening. And that's when you need principles, and you need, liberty-minded principles, ideally, to counterbalance that push. I think I was really radicalized in, after 9/11. I wouldn't say that I certainly wasn't on board with any of the militarism, but I definitely had some bloodlust, where I was like, my people got killed. And I felt, after living through that experience, I don't know, I mean, granted, I'm old enough to have done so. So the younger libertarians, I give them a little bit of a pass, but the ones that are our age, it's just like, how did you fall for this again? Like, how did you fall for the fear mongering? How did you fall for allowing them to strip us of the rest of the Bill of Rights in this moment? It's just madness.
Well, that's I'm going to age myself, because my moment of rage was actually the invasion of Kuwait. It wasn't Afghanistan. It wasn't Iraq. But in D.C., in libertarian culture, I think I was the only guy I knew that was like, this is bullshit. This is a disaster. But I've noticed this pattern, and this, I'll pick on I live in D.C. I'm part of the Beltway crowd, I guess, but I've noticed this pattern where the entire infrastructure that we've built, there's beautiful think tanks and there's activist groups, they really, really do a good job, except when it matters.
You mean when we need them? Yeah. That's not good.
And there's only a couple times in my lifetime that feel like these are existential moments when we have to step up because nobody is.
Right.
And certainly the war on terror was one of those things. 9/11, I felt like Kuwait, at a lesser extent, was, but perhaps those two things go together in some sense. The Wall Street bailout.
Yep.
I'm not going to name names, but nobody was there. Nobody opposed that inside the Beltway.
Right.
And I should pick on conservatives too, because they claim to be for limited government, but it didn't happen.
The lockdowns and the bailouts during COVID, plus the 0809, just they lost their fiscal conservative stripes. That's a done deal.
So like it strikes me that if we exist for anything, it's to speak up when no one else is going to speak up. And
it's, in my opinion, it's basically we don't have political power, so what other use is there? It's like that is what we are there for, is to be kind of a bellwether or a stop on the encroaching state.
Yeah.
And it's just devastating to me, honestly. Like, I think that's really why I got involved with the Libertarian Party and the Mises Caucus, was because I felt like the Libertarian Party failed us once again. When they had such it was a layup. It was a softball right over the middle of the plate, and they didn't hit it out of the park, and I just didn't understand it. And I think that's why so many young people decided that, all right, well, it's our time now. Like the Ron Paul legacy will live on, and we're going to be that.
I said this to the New Hampshire guys, Mises Caucus, the New Hampshire LP. They did a show as well, and I now remember the moment I was on a big Clubhouse gathering when Clubhouse was cool for a hot minute, and it was the official Libertarian Party Clubhouse gathering, and I just thought it was obvious. I spoke up and I said, this is our moment, like lockdowns. This is our moment to differentiate ourselves between us and the duopoly.
Yeah.
It was silence. Like everybody was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm afraid. It was sort of a frustrating thing. And I think that possibly was a tipping point where the Mises guys got some traction.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they already had traction, but like
no,
the tipping
it took off.
point. Yeah.
100%. I mean, I came out of nowhere. No one knew who I was. And I was just like, this is my thing. Like I'm going to stake my claim on being anti-lockdown. And I really didn't care what the transmissibility or the lethality rate or any of that stuff. I was just like, no, you don't have the right to lock us in our house and force something in our body. Like that's a principled stance that it doesn't matter. If it was the Black Plague, we would voluntarily do so. You don't ever have to mandate this. But yet the Libertarian Party, having this gift offered to them to truly differentiate themselves, to show why we are so much better than the other two options, and yet nothing.